bans straight out the gate from UOL.
Also, a lot of these teams opted for a red side when they're in their side choice selection. That means that they want to counter pick later for potentially mid lane or whatever lane they leave open until last. However, that puts pressure on the Elites and Italy bans for the blue side team, obviously, you know, because you have that first pick to your disposal. You can lock in one of those really strong junglers, and Jankos is really known to play like these type of junglers that invade on their own merit and just try to control the enemy jungler that way. I want to see if Koro's ready for that, and who's going to pick Elise, who's going to pick Italy. Will they just trade them evenly and ban out other things? So many options in this new patch.
And very targeted bans thus far. Janna, Fizz, and Lulu from Unicorns towards Roccat. Elise is still up, Nidalee is still up. So if UOL wanted a safe jungle pick and it's not banned, that could hold some of the cards.
I don't like the Janna ban against Vander specifically, because I feel when you watch Roccat play, they rely very heavily on his engage to make something happen. If it isn't Steve teleporting and flanking, it almost has to be Vander on the likes of Alistar. So getting Alistar to Vander is playing into Rocket's hands, in my opinion.
Well, one thing that was used by Power of Evil's hands was that Orianna secured the only pentakill of the European LCS with his Runeglaive Orianna, in fact, several weeks ago. That will not be viable. First pick Sivir from UOL, and there's this Alistar you're expecting from Vander.
Again, prior to that, yes, we have the pentakill from Power of Evil. Yes, I forget his name. It's early, guys, here. It's first game of the day. Let's take a slow. No. You had that pentakill, but before that, his stats weren't all that impressive. He played very far back in lane, had to scale up, no pressure. Again, everything that we were talking about, that was just bad for Unicorns. So again, yes, you're banning out things. I feel like you're almost helping the other teams with these bans.
Yeah, 5 games Power of Evil used Orianna, and he lost 3 of them. So not the greatest statistics. Several deaths. KDA is around 3, which isn't terrible. Roccat ran the clock down. They've got that engage tool from Vander, Alistar, and they did lock in Elise.
And just before we move on to the picks, Roccat ban out Kalista. Against Vardex. He is not a Kalista player. He has left it open on multiple occasions, even when it was the best solution to pick by a large margin. Then they gave him the free Sivir without having the Kalista to trade for. Again, I think this is a drafting mistake by Roccat. However, because Unicorns of Love were pinched in the AD carry position, they locked in Sivir immediately. This gives Roccat, in my opinion, a fantastic opening with Elise and Alistar. So much potential. It fits in almost any composition. Alistar's fantastic for Vander when it comes to engaging. And I want to see if Jankos can make this Elise work. And it looks like we have a Rek'Sai as an answer, not the Nidalee that we were potentially expecting. So Horo going for the the map-wide play, having the global ultimate to assist the lanes at various stages of the game, and what may be a Nautilus top lane or support.
Yeah, keeping their cards close to the chest, as it were. For Unicorns, locking in that early Sivir as well will help shore up some of the weaknesses that Vardex has had throughout the split, not really shining in contrast to a lot of other AD carries. 2 more picks coming in there, Kog'Maw and Rumble, but also potential flex on that Kog.
I think the Sivir pick is fantastic for Vardex because he fulfills the utility role within his team. He is not one of the carries for Unicorns of Love. He just has a straight buy. He gets around the same amount of percentage farm in his team that Rallis does. I think it's around the 23% mark. So they're very similar in that regard. Having added utility for his carries on his team, I think is fantastic with the Sivir pick. However, it does allow Roccat to get away with a Kog'Maw pick in lane and just get that scaling up towards, because Rallis later in the game positions fantastically well. That's why they got him over Woolite, because he's just a consistent factor that you can always rely on, rather than having very high highs and very low lows.
And of course, for that Kog'Maw, if Mr. Oz stays on, he has played it already in the summer split, undefeated in that single game, 5-2 and
100%
8,
win rate.
100% win rate. But yeah, 5-2 and 8, and use that positioning that we've talked about. Unicorns will be rounding out their composition. There will also be some engage from Hylissang's Annie. Hilly's roaming is something that he's done several times throughout the split. And Power of Evil on the safe blind pick Victor, which has kind of become the norm in recent weeks.
Yeah, Victor obviously was the third pick mid in our prioritization prior to this patch. We had Jace and Varus slightly higher when the poke meta was ramped. However, this control mage combined with an aggressive support like Annie, obviously looking Nautilus as a top laner right now, this looks like a very mid-game focused Unicorns of Love. They are not going for the late game. They will have to look for dragon fights for a potential 5th dragon aspect as a win condition. If not, a lot of fighting could go on here.
And they're going to have to play, right? So, not only have Unicorns gone for this mid-game team comp, I feel they don't have the greatest damage the longer the game goes.
No, they have late game damage. This is why it's mid-game, but they spike so hard. They have hard engage, they have a lot of CC, good base damage that falls off later in the game. Obviously not as skills in the tanky department, but later on we'll have to look at Victor and Sivir. They still can do a lot of late game damage.
We talked about...
But now, let's get to what's at hand here, Nivea.
Yeah, we talked about the 100% one-game Cogmore for Mr. Rolls. You also have a 100% win rate on Nivea.
But I mean, that's the joke. That's fine for normal season. Let's keep it. What does Nivea offer here?
You tell me.
She has disengage, but she's slow in wrapping up. I'm really interested to see what Nuclear goes in terms of build. Will he go for a traditional Athene, say like, do I really need the magic resistance to get through the lane? Am I going to stack up a tier into Roccat? Because that is an incredible...
Summer split. Will it be enough to give themselves an early lead in this best of 5? You know the deal on Twitter. Tell us who you think's going to win.
Yeah, hashtag UOL win. Hashtag ROC win. However, in the tradition of playoffs, when 4th and 5th seed play each other, this time that is obviously... UOL in the 4th seed, Roccat in the 5th. Only one time the team has managed to win as a 5th seed. Before
higher seed won.
Yep, higher seed usually wins. Although if I recall correctly, that was Unicorns of Love against Gambit, so they may have experience with that.
That they do.
Doesn't really matter right now though, because we have a Nivea locked in. I still want to look at that. Both mid laners are running cleanse here, so no all-in potential with the ignite, which honestly helps, because you have to pick the cleanse for safety later on in the game. It lessens the risk of just getting flashed upon with, you know, ignite combo and taking you down.
And both supports want to do exactly that. Alistair and Annie want to be jumping into your faces, both mid laners, low mobility, control mages. We'll get to explore the mid lane matchup a little later. For the time being, the makings of a lane swap appears to be set up, and Roccat grouped.
They're swapping. I don't know who's predicting who here. I feel Kog'Maw does well into Sivir, but the Alistair obviously gets outranged vastly by Annie. Does have sustain though. It looks like Roccat is starting the aggressive side here in the enemy jungle. UOL are starting in their own jungle, but they have the right side of the map to their disposal. It is normal lanes with a twist, so we'll need to see Steve. He's doing what's become common. He's not shared on the blue buff though, he's just tanking as much as he can for Elise, a very sustaining jungler in her own merit already. See if he gets any experience from that. Steve did get the full Gromp experience, so he's now going to base level 2. He wants to teleport down to the bot lane. So we have to track what Chachi did. He also got level 2 and a little bit extra XP, and he's going down to bottom lane. Due to RNG, it's pushing slightly towards Steve. So Chachi lost a couple extra creeps here. All in all, very even, just flip the map around type of start.
Looking at the top laners, Rumble is Steve's second most played champion, and this is the first time that we've seen Chachi on the Nautilus. It has been in the meta for a while, but we need to see how practiced he is on the champion.
Now I like Steve on damage carries because I think it opens another opportunity for Jankos to make plays in the game. Whenever Steve has played, say, split pushers, damage carries, people that pack a punch like Echo, whenever Jankos then ganked for him, it worked out for Roccat. Whenever he played the likes of Maokai and Jankos tried to gank, they just couldn't get the kill. They ended up wasting a lot of time. So in that sense, I like it. However, Steve was one of the key factors for Roccat winning a lot of games with his teleports and his flanks. Rumble obviously is not suited towards that. He just wants to open with Equalizer. Let's see if they can adapt to a different playstyle that will be required.
And of course, these lane locations have traded, but it is standard, it is head-to-head. And this could also slow down the early to mid game, which is something that we've seen both of these teams do.
Yeah, traditionally in a lane swap, obviously the game speeds up. In normal lanes, we can go as long as 10-15 minutes without very much action happening. However, I think this favors Jankos because he likes playing on his own, just 1v1, no lane interference. You know how mid laners say 1v1 with no jungler?
Yeah.
That's the same thing for Jankos, 1v1 with jungler, no mid lanes. So he could play like that. These team comps as a whole have very interesting play patterns in team fights and around objectives, but we'll get into that later once we actually start grouping up. Just really want to track these matches and how especially Anivia does into Victor, because whenever I've played it, I found it incredibly tough to dodge the laser and land my Q. I feel the skill shot from Anivia Q is very high in mana cost, it's incredibly hard to land, and you get punished so hard when you miss it. So you almost don't want to use it as a zoning tool. Now this is very interesting though, because Jankos started at the aggressive side. He got that blue buff initially and then moved all the way over. I think this is a free buff from Roccat, and now Nuktuk has an extra blue buff at his disposal, and this is key because this allows you to play slightly more aggressive in that level 4 to 6 on Anivia, which is pretty rough if you get pressured early, and it allows you to be full mana once you hit 6. Then you can out-sustain the enemy because you clear the wave so efficiently with your ulti. So this will be very, very good for Nuktuk.
We'll see whether or not he can use it to farm up. Power of Evil's first purchase is a Negatron cloak, Crepo.
That is
really respecting all of the AP damage that's going to come down from actually 4 sources. Of
5 sources.
5, yeah.
If you really want to count the support in there too. So very peculiar opening, but that means Power Evil is not going for that aggressive mid-game damage Victor control mage spike. He just kind of wants to survive, rely on his base damages, but a Victor that goes full AP, if Horror lands a knockup, you can immediately burn Anivia down. She has one of the lowest base HPs at the start of the game. I think she's second to the lowest. She starts with a 420 HP, which had definitely had fun with 420 there, but yeah. Combo on Vardax.
Vardax gets caught by the headbutt, pulverized. Vanda and Mr. Ross trying to chase. There's a stun from Hylissang. The Ignite is burning, and that Vardax forced to flash defensively. Last tick gets
There was a spell shield.
Very close.
How do you get comboed without a spell shield? That's what I wonder.
Well, I don't have the answer for that right now. Mr. Ross and Vanda.
He still has heal though, so he did the calculations. He did not save.
Right, despite the lane deficit between Alistair and Annie, Vanda finds a great opportunity, and this is something you talked about being key in picks and bans. Vanda's aggressive plays.
Yeah, Vanda's aggressive plays. In addition to that, Rawless has the base on 42, or Vardax has the base rather on 42 CS. Kog'Maw is a Trinity Force type of deal, so you can base whenever you want, and either you finish your phage, that's nice, but if you don't, you have components. Same for Sheen. Components build easier, but as a Sivir, you really want to get that BF sword. So now, not only are you forced to base early and drop CS, you base it when you're this close to a BF sword. And this is, you obviously can't see this, but I'm holding my fingers like very, very close, guys. And he was about 10 CS off from getting that BF sword and have a comfortable first base where you can start trading. Now he's stuck on a pickaxe, and then obviously we'll delay him, and this will give more power to Rawls, especially when we hit the level 6 mark. Kog'Maw has a fantastic spike in lane when he hits level 6.
And with Power of Evil going for the defensive build, and the fact that Sivir is more of a utility than necessarily a high damage ADC, Unicorns, I want to see where they're going to find their battles. A little bit of a ward.
This is what we see when games are stale. It revolves or devolves into ward wars. The jungler and the support meet up and they fight for that pink ward. Both wards go down. Good spacing from Vander on his abilities. Knocks him back, auto attack. He comes back in, knock him up, auto attack. Then the ward fades. He gets final auto attack for that ward. Looks like we'll be going.
Killing mechanics.
Hey, it's important. You could have screwed that up. And this is obviously the brush where you can always find a pink ward. If you're playing against even low level teams, always check that brush. That one and the pixel brush for pink wards. You really need that map control. And then you want to slowly edge your vision control forward. Look at this wave pushing in the bottom. This allows Vander to be moved up as a resource. He now goes into Hylissang for a bit of a poke. Follow from Kog'Maw. That's the way you want to play that lane. Peeling from Alistar and then a free ulti plus E plus a W proc from Kog'Maw, and then you whittle away using your maximum range as advantage. Whereas Annie and Sivir just gonna flash on you.
Yeah.
Just immediately kill you. Blow you up.
Yeah, all in. We were talking about Nuktuk's build. It's gone for the tier. Well, look at that again. Kog'Maw and Anivia really good if they go even into the mid-game. And currently Rocket's going very even in the first 10 minutes.
That's something I wanted to talk about once we get to these objectives. It looks like Rocket's going for an approach where they say, okay, Unicorns, you're running a run-at-me comp. Well, that's fine. We're comfortable doing that because we have one of the best kiting mages in the game. Put your ultimate down on Nivea, walk back. You have to walk into the Nivea Q, which can stun in AoE, and you have the wall to force people to walk in those predictable movement patterns. In addition to that, while all you're doing is watching Nivea, you have the peel from, walking to Cocoon. You have to walk by an Alistar, then Kog'Maw is untouched. It'll become a backline carry type of deal, and if Rallis can get going, get a lot of farm priority #1 in this game in my opinion, and get a lot of peeling, and he can solo carry with the help of his team.
If you get past all of that, there may be an equalizer on top of your head as well. Steve is a little bit behind in CS after the early sort of bottom lane trade. But I do want to mention Jankos seems to be going for a tank Elise, so that will give a little bit more of a front line when added with Alistar.
Now when he does that, I want to see if he maxes his Cocoon later on second, or if he just maxes both his W and Q and goes for higher base damage. When I see Elise, though, I think early aggression, I really want to see an opening like UOL is forcing here.
Well, Steve does have his equalizer. The Cocoon does connect onto Horo. Equalizes out. Horo's going to look for a tunnel to escape. Steve is in trouble. The repel drops Jankos onto Horo's head. He's going for the new jungler. One more to attack. Red buff is ticking. That's Tibbers! He's come in. First blood secured by Hylissang's Tibbers and ignites.
Out of nowhere, Hylissang shows up in the top lane. We were watching that duel, and we were slowly starting to realize why Elise is such a good early game jungler, because of her counter gank potential. With fantastic read, how did Hylissang get there all of a sudden? I'll have to watch that again later on, but this roam is crucial, and this is what Hylissang does best, and honestly what has kept UOL even in this series. Let's watch this again. UOL, look, right now, Hylissang is all the way at the bottom tier 1 because this fight goes so long. Jankos already backed off. If this happened like 5 seconds earlier, Horo would be dead. Because we would have lost the time that Jankos took to walk there. He goes for the auto attack. One more red buff because Horo is regening in his burrowed form. Obviously now gets to dangerous game perhaps. If he's running that, I doubt it. But just gets the level up perhaps and survives. But the most important part is that Hylissang is winning this map because he knows he can let his AD carry farm on his own merit. Maybe drop a couple CS here and there, but that's fine because Vardak is not a one-man carry that Mr. Rallis is. Vardak is utility for the Unicorns.
Worked out in Unicorns' favor for sure. They've got themselves a gold lead thanks to those 2 kills. I did also see Nukeduck roaming from the mid lane once that fight started, but it was always too late. Hilly was going to get there quicker. And only mention it because he's also picked up a catalyst. So
it's incredibly hard to roam on a Nivea because you need so many entry-level items. Step into mid-game requires at least a tier. And then if you want to do a variation, you maybe skip the catalyst. But he doesn't even have boots yet. Compare that to Power Evil, who obviously can speed him up whenever he Qs. He has boots 1. Picks a little bit of a safety with the negative cloak. Not sure if I agree. I think he can deal with the Nivea matchup fine early on, but he probably was just scared of the combination of Elise and Nivea. However, props to Unicorns of Love for not dying to any Elise ganks early. In my opinion, if you hit 50-minute mark and you have 0 kills on Elise, something went wrong. Then you didn't play your back wrong because she's a fantastic early game jungler in terms of pressure and just getting advantages.
Jankos, as a jungler, was famous for his early game impact. Horo was looking to punish Steve up top, knowing he had no flash. While he's there, Roccat going to spot Horo. They did start Dragon slightly earlier though, so objective #1 picked up by Roccat, while Steve is going to get eaten by a dredge line. No more damage to follow up from Chachi.
The kills are also translating into pressure. Look at the CS differential between Chachi and Steve right now. Steve is borderline at 70, yes. Maybe picking up some CS here. Say he goes to 78 or something. He is still more than 30 CS behind Chachi, in addition to that kill and assist that Chachi is running. So he's fulfilling his role. He's getting tanky. He'll be hard engaged. He'll soak up damage for his team. And then we'll have to look at how Victor and Sivir can stay even to deal the damage in the team fights.
Jankos trying to help out Roccat push this bottom tower down. Hylissang, the threat of the Tibbers is back, and Hylissang has gone for very early distortion boots. So You mentioned the roles.
Contrast to right now. Make a contrast to the amount of boots that are on Roccat side. Only 2 tier 1 boots are finished. So Hillsang is much more mobile than anybody on the Roccat side. Vander is notorious for having the earliest side stone in the European LCS. He averaged around 4 minutes, give or take, to finish that side stone. Hillsang takes a different approach. He was for early Moby Boots. Looking to pay off for a fight here.
That's a 2-man pulverized. Tibbers comes down on Mr. Rahl's head. He's trying to get away. Repel from Jankos is defensive. Vander's taking away with the unbreakable will. But Chachi with the teleport is going to be able to help pick up a kill for Horo. Equalizer was used by Steve earlier, so it's not available. Steve goes down as well. Unicorns of Love get 2 kills.
And this is the problem with a scaling late game build. You can't go for those early fights. Look at how Nuktok, he has a tier and a catalyst, and he was still in that fight out of mana. Power of Evil straight up just ignored him. He walked next to you, he's like, you are a Nivea with no mana? You're not going to do anything in this fight. Chachi was first with his teleport. Steve was not the one initiating with the flank like Roccat traditionally does. So yeah, advantage Unicorns, but initially looked grim because movement speed doesn't matter when you're locked in these fights. So the Tibbers came out, didn't do all that much, but the additional teleports and the better roam from Power of Evil manifested in winning that fight and a mid-tower to boot.
We're 14 minutes into this game. Unicorns have got 4 kills, have got towers, they've got the fan votes. This is not the same Unicorns that we have been watching for the last few weeks. Decisive play, great performance from Hillsang on the early roam. Great teleport from Chachi. So, initial reading, Unicorns are looking very, very solid to open up the series.
Well, strikes me the most is that they're playing their draft correctly. You can play late game if you draft for that. But Unicorns, obviously, they're coming out with a mid-game oriented draft and they're playing to their strengths. They say, we need to make something happen. We will need to get a lead. So what they do is step 1. We get our teleporter ahead, make him win his lane. He has pressure. Therefore, he can teleport first. Then we rotate to the utility bot lane. You don't want to gank for a Sivir early, but you can once you have the Tibbers and that on the hunt available. Then Power of Evil was pressuring mid. He managed to roam first or tied with Nuktok, but because of the pressure he was exerting, Nuktok had to waste all his mana on wave clearing. Therefore, you know, resource advantage from the Unicorns, and they're playing it out well. But can they transition? Unicorns have won while being 3,000 gold down. You can also technically lose them in that regard because they will get outscaled perhaps.
Especially against the wave clear that Anivia is going to offer. The one thing I want to see from Unicorns is how that early dragon from Roccat will impact their mid to late game. Roccat are going to pick up a tower. Jankos has showed his face several times here to push this down.
You say wave clear from Anivia, but one of the reasons I feel Anivia has fallen off as a pick is the new Baron buff and the interaction with the creeps. Obviously, creeps take less magic damage. Even back in the day, when you would get the Baron buff, you could still clean those minions because the Baron buff wouldn't affect them. You could endlessly stall, put a wall, put ultimate, a couple of spells, and people couldn't enter the base without straight up walking into Anivia. Nowadays, those minions are strong enough, add a Banner of Command in there, immune to magic damage. Then you have your siege potential. Anivia, obviously, just like Steve here, is a pick that likes walking backwards and kiting. But every step you take backwards, you open up the map for your enemies.
I like that analogy. There's a Chachi clearly winning the trade with Steve up top, continuing to grow that CS lead. It's now up to 40. He's got a lot of tankiness already, and he's going to have a roam from Power of Evil.
As we see this dive here in the top lane, Steve should just go down. I just want to touch on the fact that we talked about how many magic damage components there are on Roccat, and it begs the question, is it not too many? Are they lacking in physical damage? Because Chachi now is getting a lead, and he's very efficiently stacking magic resistance. There's an Aegis completed on Horror already. This opens up for an engage item on Annie. On Hillsang, he no longer has to build that, so he might go.
Oh, wow! Great flash from Hillsang. Tibbers is still available. Not going to be needed or used. And Unicorns fall back. Nuktak now finds himself on the wrong side of a gravity field. There's a roam.
He doesn't have mana to fight, so he has to run.
Power of Evil gets stunned, but insta-cleanses. Hillsang does not have a flash, remember. He used it defensively. Tibbers will not be thrown yet. Hillsang's holding onto the trigger finger. Roccat managed to escape with their lives, but they do lose Nuktak's flash.
You see, and this is the lack of pressure Roccat is exerting, and they're getting punished for it. They just don't have the resources to take these extended fights and trades and roams because they're still scaling up. Kog'Maw wants to hit later on. He now hits his Triforce. Look at Nuketook. He's still lacking in combat stats. That build takes ages to ramp up. Yes, no Rod of Ages fun involved there, but you're only still sitting on Boots 1. You have not real any AP. Yes, you have Rod of Ages finished, but that's another 10 minutes for you to get more mana, more AP. You know, you get a Blasting Wand. You're so far behind. Just look at Power Evil. He has CDR boots already. He will cast double the spells you do know almost. He has Abyssal Scepter. He will lower your magic resistances. He's playing for that mid-game spike.
And Unicorns have it. Mid-game well and truly underway. 2 towers secured already. With the kills and the objectives, it means Unicorns have a 3.5k gold lead. And they have more engaged tools, so all of that mid-game can accelerate. Teleports just become available for Chachi. He's got a Righteous Glory. There's a Locket for Horo. And they can use all of these tools to set up the next fight. It seems to be around Dragon at the moment.
It does look like we're heading to Dragon now. When we talk about Vardax, a lot of people give him a lot of flack, but what he does well is stay even. Very rarely will Vardax get a CS lead that is big enough to warrant a big CS. He'd say like over 10 creeps at like 15 minutes, but very rarely will he fall behind. He is one of the best AD carries at going neutral, and if Unicorns of Love can play off that in their draft, pick him Sivir, and just in their game, you just camp the other lanes and let him go even and then group up with him, and they could have some advantages like this Dragon they're about to pick up here.
And it's uncontested. Randa stepped in, but Roccat are too late to the party. Also, I don't think they can compete with the tools Unicorns already have. Chachi was also pressuring Steve up top. We saw Steve falling back.
Good poke.
Vanda and Mr. Ra's going to defend their pink ward from Hillesang straight to those autos.
That was one of the questions we as the broadcast team were having in the preparation to this matchup. How well were Hillesang and Horo going to synergize in terms of warding together, roaming together, and making picks?
So far, very well. 5-1 up. 20 minutes quickly approaching, and Unicorns going against the trend. We heard from the analyst desk, 12 out of 18 games, Unicorns were down in gold at 20 minutes. This is a great, great showing to start off this best of 5, and they've played standard and safe.
Horo this time invading the enemy red buff, not with his traditional buddy Hillesang as support, but Power Evil has the push in mid, that mid tower's down, so he's joining. This could open up a rotation to the top lane, because look where Nuketook is trying to defend the wave right now. This will probably force a Rumble ultimate from Steve to like make a panic clear here. Nuketook still on those boots 1, has to slowly make his wave up to the top lane, but by now that top lane tower is already on half HP. Reaction in the bottom side of the map, of course, Vardax on his own, that's what we're used to seeing. Unicorns need to be able to trade this for something, because else they just give up a tier 2 tower to Roccat here.
The only thing they really get is deep vision. There is another minion wave conga lining up, and nobody from Rockat's around. So UOL should secure this tower, albeit slower than Roccat. That's not a big deal.
The bonus is, though, what you mentioned right there, deep vision. Deep vision in the enemy red side if you're blue side. So deep vision for Unicorns altogether right now is better, because this vision exerts Baron pressure. What Roccat has now exerts Dragon pressure. So the Dragon's already down, we're hitting the 20-minute mark. Sizable lead for Unicorns, and it's like they want more. Just some damage on that tier 3 tower here. But they could back off soon and start baiting Baron, and it's going to be hard for Roccat to face check, because they have a lot of walking back potential. They can kite, they can walk out of these team fights, slowly damage the front line. But face checking, Unicorns have a lot of tools to punish. Look at the speed ups that can come out of Chachi, immediately hard engaged. You have Moby Boots and Hillesang too. Flash Tibbers can be enough to win that fight.
Unicorns have not traditionally been a Baron team. They have some tools to make a play for it this game, though. Only secured 8 Barons. In contrast, Roccat have picked up 16 over the split. And we mentioned those leads. We talked about the gold. Unicorns have actually won 5 out of 6 games when they have had a lead in 20 minutes. So statistically and historically, they're in a good position. But we still have to keep saying there is that ticking time bomb. Hog will grow in power, and Nevia will grow in power. Steve, even though he's behind, is still going to be impactful. But Roccat need to find the right opportunity.
Horde only just now picked up his boots. tier 1 boots with a no magic mantle building into Mercury Thread. That item is key in this matchup. You have to get tenacity when you face Elise and Nivea. Kog'Maw slows to an extent. And just like the sheer amount of magic resistance you get from that item is obviously what you want as a team.
Roccat continuing to grow. That Rod of Ages almost fully stacked for Nuktak. He picked
Adaptation.
up a Void Stop early.
Adaptation in his build, because he can no longer finish that mana item, you know, that scales very slowly in his build. He now has to say, okay, we need power immediately. What do I get? I'll just go for a Void Staff over my traditional Archangel Staff that I would go second. So Roccat has to compromise because he's behind. He's even in CS, but Power of Evil right now has been doing more with the CS. But they need to keep translating these, because these tier 1 towers will eventually fall shooter for free. Will they trade it for a tier 2 tower on the bottom though? Looks likely.
It looks to be the case. Oh, Steve's got caught. Tibbers comes down as well. He's knocked up. Steve couldn't do a thing. And Unicorns get a kill in the tower.
Roccat is consistently a step behind. The amount of cannon in the pre-match interview said, well, we'll go ham if they go cheese, but so far, looks like the other way around. A bit of a cheesy lineup from Roccat here, and definitely going ham. Pinball from Vander.
A little bit of trouble. Not going to be able to dredge line out. So, Inhibitor Turret loses 30% HP. Chachi, the only victim of the engage. Unicorns still looking pretty.
Yeah, they're buying a bit too much into this chaos. Obviously, you can't siege like that into a Nivea and a Alistar. They'll just wall you off, knock up the first target, knock it back into the base. But Unicorns have now learned their lesson. Let's see if they can translate this pressure into the Baron area. I really feel the Baron buff is what you need to beat this lineup. 5 magic damage components, no real people that can clear the wave with 80 base spell. The only really auto attack that's going to come out. You don't have no Sivir Boomerang or the likes of that. All you have is Kog'Maw auto attacks to clear these minions that are so strong against magic damage, unless you want to AoE them slowly with your magic damage. Well, Unicorns should be looking for the next dragon in 1 minute, then rotate around their vision towards Baron. It should be their win condition.
Clear one for Unicorns. They've maintained this gold lead for the better part of 12 minutes. As soon as Unicorns moved out of the laning phase, they've knocked down towers. But it has been a trade. Almost every time Unicorns have pressured, they have lost one tower, but Unicorns are just itching out more. And right now, Unicorns are grouped up around Baron before the dragon has even spawned.
Very interesting that we said double Righteous Glory on the side of Unicorns of Love. Hylissang is opting for Righteous Glory even after Chachi has it. Traditionally, you see 1 Righteous Glory and 1 Talisman of Ascension, so you at least have 1 defensive speed-up component should Sivir ulti fail. But Unicorns are saying, we're going in with no escape plan. We're just going, either we kill them or we're dead. That is
Best
a bold approach.
No, the best defense is a good offense.
Well, I like both. Best defense is good offense, but at least have an escape plan. If you're stuck around that wall. Roccat is notorious for dragging to late game, though, and that 3,000 gold lead we were talking about earlier is still there. So as the gold goes up, obviously, relatively speaking, 3,000 gold means less and less as the match progresses.
Dragon means more and more, though, and Unicorns secure the second before Roccat can get into place. Good vision. What I like from Roccat Unicorns play, though, is they got a little bit of wards around Baron, and then they dropped down to Dragon. So, got the vision and then sort of fell back relatively safely. And if they want to make a play on Baron, they can.
Due to the high mobility on Unicorn's lineup, Roccat is afraid to split up to get picked off. Here we go, Hylissang speed up.
Righteous Glory was thrown down. Doesn't find a target. There's no flash for Hylissang, though. Vander, he is feeling he wants this fight, and he's got in on Hilly. He's going to throw down the Unbreakable Will. Equalizer will split up Unicorns. Horror's off to the side. He's forced to tunnel away, and the Chaos Storm is wreaking chaos on the Roccat backline. The Death Ray comes out. Chaos Storm continues to tick. A flash forward from Power of Evil will not be enough to secure the kill, but he gets positional advantage.
I still think it's too early for Roccat to brute force these engagements, even though some cooldowns get used on the Unicorns. What could the Unicorns have done? Like, they could have never engaged on this Roccat lineup because the counter engage is too strong. However, if you start eliminating counter-engage potential by using it as engage. Vander going in, nobody followed up on that combo. He had to use his ultimate, he was 60% HP. Steve's equalizer essentially was wasted. Imagine if they could use that to their advantage by kiting backwards, stalling for time, scaling into the late game. I think that was the better strategic approach. However, Roccat probably feel like they're farther behind than they actually are. And that forced that a little bit, you know, too heavy of an engage.
Sometimes those heavy-handed moves can cost more. Roccat and Unicorns, though, can land scathed. And Vision slowly being cleared out, but Unicorns still relatively good vision. They've had deep wards most of the time they've pushed into Rocket's territory.
But it doesn't matter, like, vision around Baron doesn't matter unless it's perfect. Because it doesn't matter if you have 6 wards in the enemy jungle and your enemy only has 1 ward on Baron, that's enough to figure out what you're doing. They will not face check unless the Baron area is completely dark. For that, you need upgraded oracles and a couple of extra pink wards to force them to face check. Especially with Kog'Maw, with Scrying Orb, with his ultimate, he can check a lot of rushes. So there's safety in terms of stalling out for Roccat. They're only 3,000 gold behind still. The 5th dragon is still very far away because Roccat managed to pick up one of them, so by no means are they out of the game. They just have to realize how they have to play these fights and play accordingly.
For Unicorns, they're looking for more opportunities now. Dragon's a few minutes away. We do see Nukeduck, he's going to secure his own blue buff. That tier is almost fully stacked. And I also just took a quick look at Yankos' skill order. It is still just rank 1 in the Cocoon, so the 1.6 second stun is all he's focusing on for the time being.
Another itemization peculiarity, let's not call it a mistake, another egg is picked up on the side of Unicorns of Love, and it's on Chachi. And traditionally when you see double A guy, you start thinking about one will be Banner, one will be Roccat, but for Nautilus it makes more sense to build a Roccat than a Banner, so we'll have a Roccat stack here on 2 members that play in the same areas of the fight. The one reason you can usually defend double Banner or double Roccat is because you play in different areas of the fight and the aura spreads wider. You know, multiple Wi-Fi spots for your internet. Think about that. But it doesn't matter having 2 routers at the same place. It's not going to help you.
Well, Chachi and Hylissang, well, the Chachi and Horo, both sort of want to be on the front line, so we'll see how often they open.
Both want to be a team player. There's only room for so many team players. You need a carry in between. Sneaky Baron starting here. Distraction on the bot lane. Because the jungler's not there, Roccat feel like this is safe. But UOL did the math, but they forgot to add in some additional Baron damage. Took a little long, no armor. This is sloppy. If you attempt this, you have to make sure that you have enough damage to pull it off.
So, Hylissang died.
Yeah.
Let's just assume... Yeah, let's just assume he got caught. We didn't actually see exactly how. Roccat now have got a numbers advantage. For a couple seconds longer, they are going to be the ones getting
Alistair still has ulti, so he's threatening to dive. He doesn't want to dive. He just wants people to get away from that tower, be scared enough of him. They can open up. Look, that winning move did not get defended because Vander was zoning on the side. He says, I can dive. I know that you can see that I can do it, so please step away from the tower. Let us take it free. Nobody needs to get hurt. Free tower for Roccat.
Politely step away from the turret, Unicorns, and they respond. Now Unicorns have lost the gold lead. They lost a member of their team on a poor Baron call, lose another inner turret.
And hard engaging straight from the front is incredibly hard because so much defensive tools here.
So Vander's already been caught just a little bit. The crystallized wall comes out, splitting up Unicorns. There's the front line from Unicorns again, and they forced a flash.
Again, I don't think Vander has to go for that combo. I think he can wait for people to get engaged on in his backline and then do the disengage, counter-engage type of combo. Right now, he just opens himself up for free damage, has to use his ultimate, and nobody from Roccat is replying with damage whenever he goes for these defensive combos. He is a pretty smart player, so I think overall he will slowly start catching on. However, they chunked them enough that they can attempt the Baron, but right here, Scrying Orb comes out, Kog'Maw is close.
Unicorns of Love have 2 side lanes pushing. That's not a line we've said many times in the summer split.
They should go into the enemy jungle right now, get deep vision, force Roccat out, because now they can peek at the window for free. They should be scared moving here. Look, they just enter this area for free and it'll be a 5v5 Baron fight anyways.
Banner of Command was picked up by Chachi. He did not go for another Locket. Baron has been stopped for the time being as Unicorns peel away. Minion waves are still stacking up. They did get Steve's teleport. Chachi has held onto his for the time being. Somebody has to go deal with those minion waves, and it looks like Jankos will be the man to opt into it. Unicorns are really, really trying to force Baron at 30 minutes.
Yeah, they're forcing, and it's the right idea, but it's rash decision making. Let's take a look at this again. How did this play out? Hylissang is going for a fake engage. What he's doing here is basically trying to bluff Roccat. He's saying, hey guys, I'm rushing on you, I'm Annie, you have to be scared, because why else would I be doing this? But because they saw Horror on the map, they were trying to make too many bluffs at once. Horror was at the bottom of the map, so they're trying to bluff, we can never do the Baron. And then 4 remaining members, and suddenly he's going in, but they have flank wards right there, so they felt safe, so they simply just killed off Hylissang, and that was too bold of a bluff to make at this point in the game.
No Oscar for Unicorns of Love. Wow, that's a fast engage. Hylissang and Vardex come running in. Vardex is in a little bit of trouble. Spell Shield's not going to block a lot. Repel comes up from Jankos. He's looking for a target as Horo has been the first victim. The Flash Frost will hold Vizichachi in place for a few moments before Power View's running out of mana. Vanda with the Flash Pulverize. He manages to catch PoE, but they lose Hylissang. We do see Jankos going down, stepping a little too far forward. Power of Evil comes in. One more hit with Chachi. They secure the kill on Rolls, and the Death Side Embrace is not going to be enough. Now Nukeduck, he's the one that goes down as well. Double kill secured for Vardags before he's finally melted. 9 people dead, and PoE remains.
What an absolute mayhem and fantastic positioning from Power of Evil, honestly, in that fight. That was incredible how he managed to survive that. Initially, it looked grim for Unicorns of Love, because look what's happened. They got a hard engage on the Nivea, but she has now finished Seraph Embrace, and very much at the end, when people expect her to go into egg form, she pops Seraph's Embrace. Look, boom, extra 300, 400 health, and this takes so long that Unicorns use all their offensive potential, and they go down. The key members to watch here are Rawless, his positioning, and Power of Evil, and it looks like they could go down at the whim, both of them at the same time. PoE, fantastic position, gets comboed. He should really drop here, but Steve is peeled. Jankos is being peeled off by Chachi. Chachi traded his life for Power of Evil, and that is a good thing to do if you're a tank top laner versus AP mid. He snipes out Mr. Rawls eventually, and now Nukeduck wants to get that kill on Chachi, but the CC is enough to take down a bird. Power Evil could cleanse there too, because obviously Nukeduck couldn't proc his stun anymore. The shield from his Q keeps him alive. Vander, a little over-eager, wanted to finish off that fight. Advantageous for Roccat, but it wasn't enough. And this is a crucial fight for Unicorns.
Extremely interesting. They got the Dragon as well. That was the 3rd of the game, Crepo. I just called that team fight. Hylissang also got another great stun towards the end. And one thing I want to mention, stats guys have informed us, Power of Evil so far has dealt 17,500 damage. Nukeduck 7.5k. But he is very strong at the moment. Has that Seraphs, has a fully stacked rod, Void Stop, another needlessly large rod. So Nukeduck is...
But in terms of late-game damage, Victor still does way more damage than Anivia. Anivia just offers way more control. So if you're trying to catch the Anivia, it is tough. It's the team. But because Unicorns are so far ahead, they can break that barrier. They still have all the map control. But the goal is still relatively even.
Yeah, only 2,000 in it.
I just want to keep track of those Baron minions if that Banner of Command is being used on the side lanes, because Roccat, they need safety in numbers, because every member that has peel will make your grouping stronger, because you have defensive CC and that allows for your teammates that then offer up damage. Split, you're not really useful, so they want to group. You counter the group a split push. If you don't really want to split push yourself,
hey, Hylissang is down. He gets
Rawless
the timbers up,
too,
but Rollers follows suit. There's the Victor damage you were talking about, Crepo. We're going to see the suicide from Cogmore. Is going to be able to pick up a kill onto Power of Evil. Vardax is getting focused out. The mine knocks him up in the air, and the fangs get sunk in from Jankos, and he gets out alive. Vander finds a 2-man pulverize. It allows Jankos to escape. Horo's looking for more. He's found a bird is the word before he eats a cocoon. Stunned in place. He does find Nukeduck. The egg was not available, and Chachi is tanky for days. He's going to look for more. The most exciting battle ever. Flame Spitter is out. Headbutt is out. Run, Chachi. Dredge line. He connects onto Vander. And then he runs out of mana.
That was a fantastic turnaround from Horo. Really good read in that fight because we saw Anivia and Jankos, so Nuktak and Jankos on Anivia and Elise playing at the outskirts of that fight, but he turned it around with a tunnel. Forced a flash from Jankos too. And numbers disadvantage. Really, really good offensive read by Horo. And yeah, the Baron baits are being turned around. Right now, yeah, face checking in that area is incredibly hard against Anivia Q. Good Q.
And Tibbers.
And from Nuktak, but the response Tibbers was exactly what we needed in that fight. Vardek steps a little too close. Power of Evil, once you close the gap on him, you can get him. Same for Anivia. Once you get close to Anivia, she's probably dead. But both these champions, both these control mages are so good at not allowing that to happen.
Exceptional team fighting from UOL.
Really good read. Nuktak drops no more egg because he used it in the last fight. Jankos almost dies to damage here. Has to flash out at the end. Good peeling from Chachi. Chachi is becoming nigh unkillable.
Yeah.
For this very magic damage heavy Roccat gaming.
Even going to be building up some armor shortly. Nuktak does have his rebirth passive available. Came up while we were watching that replay. Mr. Rolls from Beyond the Grave. Cathian Surprise doing some work. Roccat, though, they're the ones with Baron control.
Good Baron vision for Roccat, and they're attempting a bait. They're not going to start it because they know it'll be a fight and a face check anyways. It's dangerous to do this. They've been spotted around the corner. You got to fake out attacks then. You need to go for that Oscar. Just don't stand still, you know. Do something.
So both teams have improved their team play, but not improved their acting. Dredgeline, he connects on Nuktak. Oh, Hylissang, he stuns up Roccat. The Chaos Storm is out. Power of Evil is running right through the back line. Nuktak's going to get turned into an egg, but he's going to get cooked for breakfast. Unicorns of Love have found 3, have found 4. Jankos is trying to run away. It simply will not be enough. They lost Vardex in the process, but Unicorns, what a fight.
That was a fantastic read by Vijachachi, and I'm really liking the way he's playing.
Oh, Hylissang, maybe in a little bit of trouble. Tibbers is coming to help, though.
Can block the cocoons. He's just wasting time. That's enough.
Where's the rest of the team? Unicorns, they're pushing down the middle tower. Hylissang, he's not going to get the kill. Skittering Frenzy. Jankos trades, but he's done his job. This should be an inhibitor turret, if not inhibitor as well.
Yeah, I think he could have backed out, though. A little greedy by Hylissang. Thought he had enough damage, but at least, obviously, can sustain with that W. In the end, it doesn't really matter all that much. What matters for me is that Dredgeline from Vizichachi. He finds Nuktak at the outskirts of that group. And then Hylissang, instead of... Look where the Tibbers goes. Instead of piling onto a Nuktak, he goes for the backup.
Wow!
He could have opted for a 1 or 2-man Tibbers, but he read that fight perfectly, so he could go for the 4-man Tibbers, then Chaos Storm, and then Power of Evil is aggressively moving into the fight because they just can't turn on him. And then obviously Vardek's getting focused by Jankos, but damage is done. Once you group against this combination, but you group so tightly that you offer up and engage, yeah, you're done for.
Fantastic team fights from UOL. They did get that inhibitor, Crepo.
But they need to start translating these fights into actual monumental advantages. We're thinking about dragons here. We're thinking about barons, potential split push. They got 1 inhibitor. So now the value of that Banner of Command minion goes up. Still trying to track the side lanes. No minion was upgraded by Chachi. Oh, well, his Banner of Command is on cooldown, so I'm trying to find where the hell...
We've seen Chachi using it in the bottom lane. It is bottom lane, and it was just a ranged minion?
So he didn't wait for the waves. Waves cannons come out every minute mark at this point in the game. So on the dot, every minute you want to buff that cannon minion. I think it's worth waiting for, honestly, because the pressure a Banner of Command minion exerts on the map is so huge, because then you can rotate to the other side of the map. Combine that with Rek'Sai, for example. You know, Rek'Sai split push one side, Banner of the Command on the other side, immediately collapse towards the Baron.
So Unicorns may go back to the Dragon/Baron play. They're on Dragon at the moment. This will be number 4.
Yeah.
6-minute timer until Aspect. Jat did a fantastic Jat 22, or League of Learning rather, on how to beat teams with 5 dragons. We'll see whether or not Roccat paid attention in 6 minutes, or if they'll even let it happen. But no deep vision from Unicorns. So this is something they have to invest some time into.
Yeah, they're slowing down. Whenever Power of Evil and Hylissang use their flashes in fights, they're hesitant to go for another fight because they really need to close the gap. The counter to a wall is obviously flashing over it. The counter to Cocoons is flashing over it. You know, the counter to an Alistar is flashing by him, you know, speeding up, ignoring him. then close the gap immediately, wombo combo, you know, annihilate your opponent. Hard engage is what you're looking for, so that's also why we see distortion boots finished on Hylissang here. Just the more flashes you can get, the more flash tibbers to initiate these fights combined with Vizichachi. It's obviously what you're looking for.
And this is exactly the game I was looking for. Very interesting, exciting plays, and Unicorns are approaching 40 minutes with the lead, with the kill lead, with an exposed base from Roccat, super minions as well.
Yeah, 29 kills in 39 minutes, 40 minutes. It's definitely a good average to have.
They seem to be posturing. I mean, they're sticking in the lane of the supers. Side lane still pushing in favor of UOL.
They're waiting.
Is this is it just cooldowns and then a little bit more aggressive play?
It is timing and cooldowns. Look at the side waves. The time they will hit is about the time that Power of Evil's flash will be back up.
And they are going to find a small opportunity to get a ward just above the Wraith camp from Roccat. Unicorns look pushing in a little bit more. Hilly with those boots of mobility also pushing in.
Bot lane, killer position. Looks like it does want to push out towards Roccat. They'll still take time. I don't like this Baron, so for me, this is too forced. Like, just gotta decide what you want, Unicorns. Of course, Chachi doesn't really go down too much, so they can bait this.
Well, they want the fight. Chachi's going to get caught by the cocoon, not going to be able to find a target, but Vander's way out of position. Unbreakable will keep him alive for a few seconds longer, but he flashes in. Nuktak's already been turned into an egg. Power of Evil's trying to kill him, and he'll be able to. Yankos is now trying to sink the fangs in. This is a battle on two fronts. Everybody from UOL's flashing red, but it doesn't matter because there's no resistance. Yankos follows Nuktak to the grave. Unicorns able to get the kills they wanted, and big minion waves.
Tight knot and a little dance from Coach.
Chachi, it's a summon a heal. Is going to be able to secure. Hylissang gets a kill credit though, and it looked like Chachi got away with his life.
Ross is out of mana. Kog'Maw W doesn't cost any mana. Power of Evil's looking at the Nexus turrets. Top lane inhibitor is being sieged upon. Two members basing though, so just be a good game yet. Good flash here. No ultimate on Vander. He goes down. Varnix flashes on Rallis.
Radex is looking for more. Teleport will keep a minion alive. As you can see, the banner of command.
So
empowered minions on the side. Unicorns of Love at 42 minutes have dropped the Nexus turrets. And from start to finish, Unicorns of Love have dictated the tempo of the game. 10, 1, and 6. Power of Evil when he carries hard.
Yeah, good opening performance. I like it when you come out with aggression in the first game of a best of 5. Catch your opponent off guard. And Roccat, I think they have to reconsider their draft or play it accordingly. I think it could have worked should they prioritize the right things. Anivia, Elise on paper sound nice, you know, for double CC combo. Cleanse kind of ruins that, especially Victor, who can play at such great distance. And you saw it, the lack of pressure early forced Nuke to go out of mana. The roams by Hylissang, especially that first one, that was communicated because he talked to Horror. Horror said, I'm going to gank top. Hylissang then said, okay, instead of, I think, finishing Sightson, I will go more with Boots. I will meet you there.
Yeah.
Flash Tibbers, that turned the game around. That was the momentum Unicorns needed. And they didn't really let go up until the mid-game where ideally you can play it out a little better, but they still were the ones to make the move, take the initiative. And I think in a very passive matchup on both sides, that's what you have to do.
Congratulations to you UOL. I like some of their itemization that I hope the analyst desk will talk about. We're going to head over there in just a moment to break down that first game in this